So, hey everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of the free agent crowdsourcing for contracts. Last time we did pitchers. This time we'll get going with batters, and Randy Wiegand is with me again, and Stephen Lane is hopefully at a job interview. Go, Stephen, go.
Good luck, Stephen.
So, let's start with, I think we started with catchers on this list. We just want to dive right back in.
We did. And we started with a guy who's already signed.
We did.
Just like the pitchers.
Yeah, that's just how it works sometimes. Interestingly, we kind of predicted about we predicted less in free agency than what he ended up signing with Madison for, which is odd. And I kind of wonder how much he would ask for in free agency. Not saying Chris overbid himself or anything like that. It's just kind of weird how this year's worked out. I almost feel like I have to do these options and stuff again next year because this year's just seems so odd. And I don't know if it's like this every year.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again. It was too much work. Anyway, the prediction for
Elroy signed. He signed for
3 years, 13 per, I believe. Right? Isn't that what it was somewhere in there?
It is 3 for 39.5.
Yeah,
15-13, and then the last year is an 11.5 team option.
Yeah. So, people predicted that he would go for around 12. Was most of them. The median was 12 per year. There is 1.7, which seems a little bit low. And the median was 2 years. So 2 years, 12, and he got 3 years, average annual 13. Although
with one of the team options, so if it's he got guaranteed 228.
Right. So he got more like 14.
We were saying 2 for 24 or 2 for 25. So we were in the ballpark.
Yeah. So no over under on him because that's not possible.
I'll take the over.
Yeah, they're low hanging fruit. Good job. Hotha Popo is another, lots of varying opinions about him, numbers on him. Lowest was 3 years, 3.5. Highest was 6 years at 11.83 per.
Very specific.
Well, it was 71 million. I just dividing things.
Yeah.
I believe it was 71 million. But
yeah, that's okay.
So the average on him was just over 4 years and about 9 million per. How old is Hotha now?
Hotha's 26, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think 4 years is realistic on him, right? Like why would you not give him? I can understand why you wouldn't give him a 6-year deal. I don't think you're going to be competitive trying to give him a short-term one, unless you're just really jacking up the average annual value. And I don't know, he's the...
Hotha turned 26 at the end of October, so he will play all of next season at 26 years old.
Yeah, so he's going to get a longer deal.
Yeah, because even if you give him 6, that gets him to 32.
Right. This is for average annual. If you want to do total value, I think you take the over on him. In terms of average annual, I don't know what to give Hotha Popo. I think he's.
I forget. I don't even remember which one I was. I think I was probably the 512.
You're 512. That's you.
But that's because the I and the avoid K. And he's got good defense, so that always, helps as a catcher.
Right, and his last three wars are 1.7, 2.6, and 3.7. So he's trending the right direction. And
let me look. I want to say this is actually a very similar WAR profile to Mr. Chung Hok Chang from last year,
where they kind of peaked.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up. But I want to say that the pattern, and obviously, I don't know if Popo's going to get as much money as Chang got, mainly because Calvaruso doesn't have any money to spend anymore.
Right.
But
I wonder how much Calvaruso's kicking himself that he threw all his chips in the center during super overpriced last year free agency and didn't wait for this one.
Chang's profile has 3 years before free agency was 1.2, 1.6, and 3.3, and then last year he went and put up 5.4.
Right. Well, and the difference
also at 26 years old.
Well, I mean that is the peak, right? That's the peak in the curve. Is 25, 20, is 26, 27 really. Now,
so you would be getting those. Would be your first 2 years of the Popo deal would be
kind of his what should be his peak years. And Popo only keep saying Popo. It gets funnier every time I say it. He was not a great player. He probably was, but 22, 23, or 32, 33, 34, those years, he just wasn't getting the playing time. And he was still stuck behind somebody at that point. Was it Hinson that he was behind?
In Vancouver? Could be.
Yeah. And, as he's earned more playing time, he's really blossomed. And
also Vancouver is where hitters go to die.
Right. But do you buy his good years, or do you, I don't know that I want to pay. I put 6 for 10, but now that I'm looking at it, do I want to give 10 a year for a guy who's really only been better than a regular starter once?
Well, the one thing you have to say is that's the sort of profile. I mean, the I and the AVK will probably age well.
Yeah, then they'll play anywhere. The reason, yes, Vancouver is where hitters go to die, but not striking out, and the way you beat those parks is you get guys that walk, basically, and don't strike out.
Yep, and I mean, if you can also look at it, the contact and the power don't really have much to drop. So, I mean, at 5 and a 4, they're not really going to get that much lower.
Well, yeah, but they still get nerfed. So I don't know. He's going to be a really interesting one. I think you're probably someone is going to need catcher, I think, and he'll be closer to the higher end of this. But I could see someone saying, I find him somewhat of a risky, that I don't want to buy a peak year, pay free agent prices for one peak year, and I wouldn't argue with that. Do you think he's going to go? What do you have on him? So 9 average annual value.
I think somebody will go over. I think somebody will give him 10.
Yeah, 10's a nice round number.
Because also, with the exception of one other guy who's actually not on the list, Antonio Tobias, I don't think there's any other good catching options out there.
Is Padilla still around? Yeah, Alberto Padilla, who didn't even play last year, which that's the weirdest one to me. Like, why no one ever signed him? In 2036, he was a 2-win catcher. And, he just sat in free agency the entire season. He's good defensively. I don't know if he ever...
He was it's because he's basically the catching version of Dong Soo Chong.
Well...
Except he can hit home runs.
Yeah, but I mean, the bar for catcher is pretty low. And Dong Soo Chong's Padilla's got OPS plus from 83 for his career. That's not horrible. It's totally...
Yeah, I mean, not that batting average is the most important thing, but his last...
No, it's ugly to look at. I get that. And I don't know if his asking price ever got reasonable. He wanted 8 or 10 million or something a year last year. But anyway, so Sean Smith is the other catcher that is a new free agent that we have on this list. And he is another kind of interesting player, just tremendous behind the plate. And I think he's kind of an underrated hitter. I think it's interesting. There seemed to be such a difference in perception between him and Popo, whereas Smith actually has a better track record and is a little. He's older, so I understand how that affects this. But you didn't like him very much at all. I mean, if you only think he's worth a 2.5 for a year, which is kind of what you play the lowest tier guy you can get out of free agency. I think he's a little better than that.
I view him as a backup catcher, and that's kind of, as we've established through our past free agency podcast, that's the going rate for a solid backup catcher.
So why do you think he's a backup?
Because, I mean, he's elite defensively.
And he's 90 weighted runs created plus. This is his career weighted runs created plus. It's 90. Last year, it was 91. I think
that's actually...
I think that's a starting catcher.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, maybe I was a little low, but I still, I mean, I view him significantly less than Popo.
I know, and you're not alone in that. Almost everyone did, and I think that's, to me, including myself. That's a little odd. I mean, again, Popo's younger, so I get that. Smith is 30.
And significantly younger. I mean, he is 5 years younger.
Yeah, he's
That's
5 years younger. So the averages on Smith were 2.3 years. Range was kind of, the median was 3. And then just under 4 million per year. Which to me, again, is just striking. And this goes back to that thing where people just they will pay more to lock up a spot for a long time and feel good about it. But sometimes the more efficient use of your dollars might be to just rent somebody briefly and pay him less if you can. And I don't know what the case is here. Smith, he did have a really bad year 2 years ago, and there was some thought that maybe that was kind of his decline. So was last year, a bounce back, or is it sustainable? I don't really know. So I can kind of get that, like Popo, you're looking at a guy on the upswing. Smith, you're looking at a guy who might be on the downswing, and that making a big difference. Is it enough that people would give Popo twice as much average annual value? I don't know. So what are you taking on him? I'm taking the over. I think he's going to make more than 4 million average annual value.
I think he's worth less, but I think he'll probably get more.
Yeah. So that's it for catchers. Moving on to infielders. Gabriel Telemate was a player that I really liked when he was younger with Louisville. Now that he's older with Louisville, I'm not as keen on him. He has some interesting. There's some short deals giving him around 10, like 2 to 3 year deals giving him around 10 a year, and there's some longer deals giving him around 4. And then there's the Stever. Sorry, Stever. I'm trying not to point out who said each one of these, because I don't want people getting needled for, they thought this. Or maybe I'm giving stuff away, but the reason I feel safe bringing up Stever is I know that he is not going to bid on Gabriel Telemate, so I'm not ruining free agency for him. And I also think it's hilarious.
He's the 5'4"?
No, Stever's the 2 for 4. He's the worst one in here because of course he is, because it is a right-handed low contact bat. And Stever says no to those. Just flat out no. I'm sorry, man. I'm not making fun of you. I just think it's hilarious that you're so. It shouldn't be hilarious. You are consistent, and that is a good thing. You have valuations that you stick to. It just stands out so much in terms of a pattern that that I think is a good one. It's just kind of, you could figure out which bids were Stever's. If you didn't have a name on it, which is awesome. So the averages on him there's not really a median on him. I mean, there is a median by definition, but it's
looked like one person hit it pretty close, and everybody else was way different.
So 3, 7.5 were kind of the averages on him. What do you think about that? At one point,
I think he gets more because he's an elite up the middle glove,
and someone will get excited about the bat, the power potential. You think? Or
yeah, the way I view his bat almost kind of like I have my catcher Aries the Mad Greek Papadias. Basically, you put him in the 7 or 8 spot, and if he strikes out, no big deal. But he can pop you 30 homers a year and just clean up all those 5-6 guys that get on base in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, and I see that there's some value there. It's just he's also 30. Right?
I don't
that's the one thing that might drive his price down, is that he's 30, and his performance last year. Well, didn't play last year. Never mind. Why didn't he play last year? Was he hurt?
No, I think Louisville was doing some different things.
Okay. He hasn't really lost anything, man. He's been a 2 to 3 win player. He is 30. You never know when that's going to fall apart.
I think 7's actually about right.
I think it's about right, but I think we'll get more than that. Because again, like you said, someone will. I would be happy to have him at 7. I think, really. I mean, talking about 2 to 3 win player for 7 million, you take that every time out of free agency. He is over 30. You don't know, but you can mitigate some of that risk with options.
But he also just hit 30 in November.
Right, so you'll get him for 30, 31, 32, and I think those are pretty safe years. let's say he's no longer a 3-win player and he's a 2-win player, I'd still take a 2-win player out of free agency for 7.
Yeah.
So I will take.
And if you prorate his, because he had 0.7 WAR in 50 games, if you put that out to 151, which he's played the last 2 years, that gets you a 2.1.
Oh.
That's fine.
So I'll take the over on him. My guy, Jesus Flores, another guy that was a little bit all over. There's a 3 for 5. And a 2 for
my guy too.
17.5.
Wow.
Maybe somebody.
I mean, did you submit bid? Did you submit bids from Jesus Flores' agent?
Oh well, I think so. Maybe someone's excited about his glove. It is a short deal, or maybe that's somebody who was basing that off of my much publicized whining over how much he was asking for. So they figured that he would continue to ask for that much, and not ask for significantly less. Not demand to go to free agency on a $15 to $17 million no one will pay, and then when you get there, ask for $7 million a year. Eat a dick, Jesus
I'm
Flores,
proud of this
who didn't give me a comp pick even to do this shit.
Because I said Jesus Flores was worth 4 years, $9 million a year, and our average is 4 years, $9.08 million.
Yeah, he'll get more than 4 years. He's 26.
But I don't know if he gets more than $9 million.
No, that's probably about right. How many people? The thing I didn't look at when we're trying to predict whether they'll get more or less than these is what the need is at those positions.
People always need shortstops.
Yeah, I think I'll get more than that. I think I'll get more. Well, I don't know though. It starts so low. I think he'll get more than that. I think he will. I also think he'll get more than 4 years.
My question is Flores destined to be a super utility player?
Maybe.
Because he can run and he can field all across the infield, but he's kind of a mediocre hitter.
The ones you got to remember is how much my park nerfs hitters still, and especially right-handed hitters. But he has been disappointing. He's definitely been a disappointing bat. He has also lumped some. And the question is how much is that? Is that just that he was just barely a 7 and the old ratings he would have been a 6 and a 6, or the new ratings he'd be a 6 and his power would have been 6. And okay, this is hard to understand looking at it because you're looking at the ratings change if you look at the scouting. The point is he lumped slightly early in his career, and I don't know if that was just a little bit of like a percentage point rating decline that put him from a 7 contact to a 6 contact way back when, or if that was a real lump. I don't know which one it was. If it's a real lump, it's concerning at his age.
And his issue is his eye is terrible and always has been terrible.
Right.
So some guys like Popo, even if he lumps a little bit, he still got that good eye that'll carry him through. But if Flores starts to lump, that bat becomes useless.
Right. And he was so bad offensively last year that it might drive his value down. Like, I mean, if this is like the 85 weighted runs created version, that's not even the good version. But like the 2033 and 2034, when he was like an 85 weighted runs created bat, like I would pay this much for him, But last year's, 70, 69, that's just terrible. And you don't know what he's going to do, which I think is the reason I'm still taking the over on him. Do you have an idea? Do you think he gets more than that or less than that 9 million?
I think he gets 8 and change. I think it's slightly less.
Okay. I think
just because I think people are going to be scared off by last year.
Right, and it's weird how that works with timing, because that's probably the reason that I don't think that Brett Compton's a significantly better player than Jesus Flores, but the predictions seem to think he is, and I wonder how much of that is just the timing of when they had their good years. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I valued the two guys exactly the same. I said each should get 4 years, $36 million total.
I did too.
Because to me, they're pretty much the exact same player.
I had 6 years, but same average annual value of 9, and I've got them valued pretty much identically as well. But on average, people said 4.8, so almost an entire more year than Flores, and 12.2, so 2.2 or 11.2, $2.2 million more than they had on average for Flores. Now there's a 5 for 15 in there, there's a 6 for 14 in there. I mean, there's some hefty deals for Brett Compton.
True, but also, I mean, you figure Flores had the 2 for 17 too, so.
Well, the thing, right, and the thing with Compton that is interesting is what people plan to do with him. Because I think as a shortstop, he has shown that he is not as good as Jesus Flores. And I wonder who people are bidding on him. Are they going to plan to play there? Because Brett Compton is a 0 zones rating shortstop. I know his range looks good, but his error rating has really hurt him at short. And over his career, he has been a league average shortstop. Now, he's a better hitter than Flores, so that does count for a good deal.
Yep, and he can play second, and I bet if you play him at third for any significant amount of time, he would do pretty well there as well.
Right, and that's the thing is that at short, he's a 1 to 2. At short, he's kind of a 1 to 2 win player. At second, he's like a 3 to 4 win player, and I could definitely see getting up in the 12. I don't know about 15, but like 11, 12, maybe.
What do you think?
13 range.
The other thing he doesn't do, I mean, for what people value it, Flores runs. Compton can't run.
No, yeah, but I mean that's, I think that's.
But like I said, it'd be interesting to see him. I wonder if he eventually. You can play him at third, don't you think?
Yeah, you can play him at third. He'll end up a third baseman, like when his range starts to lag late in his career. But he's 26. That's another guy. I still think we're going light. He won't get a 4-year deal. He'll get a 6-year deal. The real question with him is what people expect to do with him in terms of where they're going to play him. I don't know, that 11 million.
I think somebody tries shorts. I think somebody tries shortstop. I don't think it works, and then I think he just becomes kind of like what I do with Gilstrom, where I know he can't play short on a regular basis, but if I have like a month-long injury, I can slide him over there.
Right, and pencil him in at second or third most of the time,
and he won't embarrass. Like, yeah, he's going to be a neutral player at short over the season, but for a month you'll take you know what I mean?
Right. And I'm not like a neutral, an average shortstop. That means he's average at shortstop. That's fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play Brett Compton at shortstop, but I think there's this perception that he's good there, and he isn't. He's average.
Yeah. He looks like he should be, but he's not.
Right. Like you look at the bat and you think, that's a great bat to have at short. Well, it's a okay bat to have being a very average shortstop. So do you think?
Yes,
I'm going under on Brett Compton only because I think his asking price is low and people will start lower and he'll sign somewhere. But I honestly don't know how people value him. He's kind of an odd player. What do you think? You taking?
I think he'll probably get about the same as Flores, so I think he'll be below the 12. I don't think he gets up that high.
Okay, well, it was 11, but you still think
either way, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he comes in around Flores at about 8 or 9.
Okay. So I've got Gary Schneider on this list, who a lot of people are probably like, who the hell is Gary Schneider and why do we care? And the reason I have him is, on paper, he looks pretty decent. In real life, he has performed fairly underwhelmingly in limited time, admittedly, in Montreal. I think part of that is because he doesn't have a position, right? Like, I don't know, where would you play Gary Schneider? At all.
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting because his bat is useful,
right? And it's not maybe played as well as you would expect. He's basically a 99 weighted runs created plus, so he is a league average bat. Although he's been a little better recently, but for a middle infielder, that's pretty good, or even like a third baseman, that's pretty good. But can he play third base? Can he play second? Like, where would you, if you had to play him?
I would DH him because I don't think he can play either. I don't think he can do either. I really don't.
And that's probably why
I think he's a DH.
Couldn't get the playing time, and yeah, his bat's not good enough to be a first baseman. I would, no, if I had to play him, I'd play him at second and just deal with it.
Yeah, I would just play him at second and eat the.
If he hit
the range.
If he hit well enough, I'd try to play him at second. I guess you maybe could try third. People have been trying third. I don't know where you play him, honestly. And neither does anybody else because his average annual value is anywhere from 3 to 6 million for people. So the averages were 2.8 years, which is kind of low. And I think somebody will see a use for him and sign him longer than that. And 4.9 million. And for a position player coming out of free agency, that's a pretty low value.
Yeah.
And I think that just reflects that nobody knows what to do with this guy. You think he gets more or less than 4.9 million?
Less.
I'm going to go with more. I had predicted for 4 per 5.5 because I think somebody will see the bat and think that they don't care enough about the defense and they've got a hole for him. But I don't know. He's an odd one. Dong-Soo Chon.
Speaking of a weird one.
Average annual value on him was 5 million and 2.6 years, which I think is about right. Some will give him a couple years with an option or 1 year with 2 options or somewhere in there. There was a 5 with a 10 million average annual value that was in there. That's a bit of an outlier, I believe.
That's high.
But the median average annual was 5. The average is 5. The median years is 2. The average years is 2.6. Everybody is pretty consistent on Sean, thinking, I think he gets less than this, but again, those middle infielders that can defend, it drives up their value. Over or under on that average salary?
I think probably under. Although the noteworthy thing about Chong is he does have one, as bad as he is,
he has one skill,
swinging the bat.
Yep.
He has one offensive skill. He can walk and he's actually got decent pop for a guy that doesn't hit the ball.
He got 5 million last year. This is a tough one. I think this is probably just about exactly where he ends up. I'm going to go under as well, just because last year's performance was so bad, but it was bad. This is one where I'm not just making shit up again.
No, it was not good. It was not good. I mean, it was average for him, but
I thought it was even a little worse for him. I thought that was the thing, is that even for him, he was a poor hitter last year.
Well, I mean, his career numbers are 189, 319, 352, and he was 193, 328, 327.
Okay, so no, he was himself. All right, fair. I'll go under on that. Dempsey also opted out and is asking, I believe, for about
$14 million, $14.5 million.
He's asking for that. He's not gonna. He might get that.
I mean, for a 1 or 2 year deal, yeah, I might give that to him.
Would you play him at third base though? That's the thing. I don't know where you play Mark Dempsey. I wouldn't. But
that bat plays a DH.
Yeah, but you don't pay $14 million for a DH. He put up a positive zone rating at third base somehow last year. It just blows my mind how he did that with 2 range. This goes back to Ron's comment that zone rating might not be what we think it is, or what it should be. Like the game's whatever. I mean, like it's still a reproducible, valuable defensive stat. And using it in the game, it's not, but it might just not mean what we think it means. But still,
you keep using that term. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Right. I do that all the time, though, huh? There was a 2 for 16 on him.
I was just quoting one of the best movies of all time.
It is a great movie. I know, but it's appropriate with me. The thing is actually when I do that, I just use the word wrong over and over again. I usually know what it means, and if you point it out to me, I'll remember that I'm being an idiot. But the median here was, actually there's a lot of variance. Some people had him at 6 average annual value. There's a 16. There's a couple 10s. So people weren't really sure what to make of Dempsey.
Dempsey's a guy that you don't give him more than 2 years.
No,
don't do it.
One person decided to go with 4, but that seems like a bit much. But, again, there were a lot of these, so if you kind of brain farted on one contract, I don't think that's unreasonable. The averages on him were 2.3 years and 9 million average annual value. I think he'll probably get like 2 and 10. I think he'll
get like 2 and 12.
I said 3 for 12, so I'm going to stick with me. So I'm taking the over on him. Are you gonna?
Yeah, as am I.
All right. So this next one, I do not get. We're going to the outfield now, and everybody was way lower than me, and I don't understand why they thought these things. So Alfredo Martinez, average annual value 16.3 and years 3.8. I think the years.
Well, I think the years is because everybody's scared that he's made of glass.
Yeah, but options, folks. I mean, you're not going to get him without giving him 3 guaranteed years, right? Like that's. At least 2. You're going to have to give this guy 2 guaranteed years to sign him. Someone else is going to do that. So if you're bidding, if you're bidding less than a 4-year deal on him, I don't think you can get him unless you just blow the average annual value out of the water. And no one's doing that in their predictions. And so I don't know if I'm just like way off on how everybody values hitters, but this is one of the best bats in the game. Like, I know that he misses time.
For 100 games.
Right, but during that 100 games, he's going to be a 5-win player. Like, it doesn't...
My rationale, because I think I gave him like 3 for 15, is I'm basically counting on him for 2/3 of his season.
Yeah, but again, during that 2/3 of the season, it will be 5 wins. Like,
yeah.
Like, and you're not like an anomaly here. Somebody has him at 12 million average annual value. Like,
I think that's a little low.
There's a couple 18s. I have him at 20. Like, I think he can get 20.
I think I'm probably a little low on the average annual value. I don't know if he's worth 20.
I don't know if he's totally worth it, but I just think that I think it's interesting that the people, and maybe they're right. Like, this is where am I just valuing things? That quite a few people thought that the market would only push his price to 15 million a year. Seems a little low. Anyway, so the average people came up with was a 16.3 for average annual value. I'm going to take over on that. I think he beats that easily.
I'll probably take the over as well, even though I said he's worth less. I think he'll probably end up getting more.
Yeah. So we got the other and I think he's going to beat the years too, like 3.8. Like, I just think he beats that. Again, we've got the guaranteed versus not guaranteed issue. The other Alfredo.
Well, and the other thing with Martinez is he's also 33.
Sure.
Not everybody's Leon Sandcastle.
Not everybody's Leon Sandcastle, and I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not saying I want this guy signed to a 5-year deal. I just think you're going to have to do it to get him. At least 4.
That's probably true.
That's
probably true in hindsight.
Alfredo Salazar, the other Alfredo, a little less exciting these days. I wanted to respond. I didn't want to start a discussion in the thread, but Tyler Simmons asked if I thought he really would be a Hall of Famer when I was kind of putting the preview together on this. I think yes, right? Like, I know that we're not giving credit for EBA years. I'm not trying to, but in his BBA years,
I think you're going to have to go with his peak because his counting numbers, I don't think will be there. But
it depends on which counting numbers you're looking at, because he has 67 career BBA WAR. That's a Hall of Fame level of WAR.
That's true.
It doesn't matter that his career's short. Now, if you're going to have to like get stuck on the fact that he doesn't have 500 home runs, or that he is, he'll end up with 2,000 hits, but not close to 3,000. Yeah, I could see that, but like 67 WAR is a lot of freaking WAR. It's a Hall of Fame caliber total. It's not like a shoe-in, like slam dunk, but
I was going to say I think he will probably get in. I don't think he goes in the first ballot.
I don't know. If he ends up at 70-something, people not putting him on a ballot are wrong.
I mean, we had Valentin not get in on the first ballot with like 590 home runs or whatever he had.
Yeah, but right. I mean, but it's not just a homer. It's not just a one stat thing, right? Like, if a guy puts up like 70 to 75 WAR, they're a Hall of Famer. Like, and I know people are like, well, I'm just said you can't just use one stat, but WAR is kind of a special one, and then it's all encompassing. It's not just looking at like home runs or hits or other things, and it's not perfect, but like his like first 6 years I think we've just forgotten because he's been not so great, but up through 33. He was pretty much averaging 5 WAR a year for 10 seasons. That's just an incredibly good long run. People don't maintain like that kind of a peak that long. He's just pretty good. Anyway, but he's not anymore. So, or not the same.
No, he's not.
There's a little range here on this one too. There was a 1 times 15, which I don't think is unreasonable for like a.
I think that was me.
Yeah, for like I'm going to buy 1 year of this dude and hope he's still got it left in the tank. That's not a bad idea. There was a 3 times 7, which if I was going to give him 3 years, I would want him that low.
Yes, I think all these offers in here are actually fairly reasonable.
Yeah, and the average is about 2 for 10. And if I could take push on over-under, I would take push. But I cannot do that.
Well, because what did you say? What did you say he was worth?
2 for 10. I predicted the average. He's asking for 9. So it's interesting that we
basically my thinking on the 1 for 15 is I think he's got one more good year. I'm going to try to get a comp pick out of him for free.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That might be an underutilized strategy, is like bidding up the paying, if you got the room, pay a little bit more for the guy that you think might have a good year left in him to see if you can get a free pick. Anyway, I don't know what to go on that 2 for 10. He's currently asking for a little less than that. How many years is he?
I think he'll probably end up getting a little more. I think he'll get a little more.
I do too. No, and he wants a 5-year deal. I mean, damn it, OTP, get your fucking head out of your ass with this bullshit. Learn that old players are not. We don't want to do. Okay. I mean, I know that some of them ask for that, but like, not every 37-year-old real life player asks for 5 and 6 year deals.
No, they don't.
That's Salazar. I'm going to go over a little bit on 2. We're doing pretty good here too. Like, not as good as with the pitchers. Like Martinez is asking for $23 million a year. Salazar's asking.
That's high. I think you think that's ambitious.
Oh yeah. I don't think he'll get that, but hey, he could. Someone could decide they want him. Telemade is asking for 9. I think we predicted 7. Flores is asking for 7. We predicted 9. We're not way off on these. Not as good as we were on the pitchers.
Yeah. So let's see. Michael Durham.
Michael Durham, I think, is another name where people are probably like, who? Well,
he's been stuck in the wasteland that's Hawaii.
Right. And he's an interesting player to me in that, as I said when I was doing this, I don't know what he is. He, on paper, should be a good bat. He's a good fielder, good defensive left fielder. 7 contact lefty, 7 power lefty, great gap power. He's got some wheels. Not a base stealer, but he's got, good enough speed to utilize that gap power. And he has just been all over the place in Hawaii. And that's why his contract predictions are all over the place. You have him at $6 million average annual value. Somebody else has him at 12. There's a 4, there's a 5. The overall averages on him is 3.8 years and $7.5 million. I get why the average years are that short, because people don't. Because
nobody knows what he is.
Right, they don't want to risk it. But like, I think again, and I could be wrong about this, but I think in contract predictions, you have to take into account that like, if you are skeptical about a guy, but you think that he might get bid up, realize that someone's going to do it. And so while you might say, I think he's worth. I was a little confusing on the instructions, and clearly, because I should have said this way at the beginning. Maybe I'll record something at the intro or put it in the comments, but initially what I wanted people to do is give 2 values, which was what you think they're worth and what you think they'll get. And I think I just worded it poorly, so I don't know with some of these offers.
I understood.
You were the only one out of all the submissions. You were the only one that gave me 2 values. So we're going with your what you think they're worth values because they were more in line with everyone else's. But I don't know what other people's values were. So some of these ones that I'm criticizing the years, I could be critiquing what people thought they were willing to do, not what they thought they would end up. So we'll take it as what we've got. And next time if I do this again, I will be more clear. Sorry for everybody for the confusion. So the averages on him, though, were 7.5 a year and 3.8. And I don't know. I don't know if that's reasonable or not. That's a little more than he's asking for. He could end up being a steal. Someone could end up saying, I think this guy's a good player and I'm going to bid up on him, and they could end up being right. I have no idea. No clue.
The tricky thing with Durham is he's a guy, there are a lot of good outfielders ahead of him. So he could sit for a while. He'll be the consolation prize for somebody.
Or someone could snag him. Someone could be like, the guy's only asking for $5 million right now. I'll just get him while everybody else is chomping on these people and I don't have competition.
Yeah, that's true too.
I don't know. I'm going to take the under. But
I'll probably go slightly over 7? Yeah, probably under.
All right.
I think it'll be over the 5, but under the 7.
Harsenit, another guy who should fire his agent, that told him to opt out of 17 or 18 million or something like that for a couple of years.
I think it was guaranteed 39 with a possible 78 if he hit the vesting options.
Which he wouldn't. but like 39, and now he's asking for, what is he asking for? It's some like 13 million a year. He's asking for 13, but
Something
I guess
like
he's asking for, well, how many years is he asking for? Oh, can't tell because he does not like my manager, Alberto Franco. What a jerk.
Let me see what I can do. He played for my manager, so maybe he likes him. Hold on. 5 at 13.8 for $69 million.
Okay, so does the game consider options when opting out or not? Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because we know that the prices they're asking now have nothing to do with the amount they opted out for. If they did, still
because
might not make sense.
basically essentially what this is doing is wanting, because it's 4 guaranteed years and then a player option for the 5th. So this wants to get a longer term deal locked in now.
Right.
Which actually for Harsnett, a guy who's been hurt and has had some questionable performances, maybe not such a bad idea.
Well, maybe you say that, but like he wasn't going to not get another deal at 33, right? So for this to make sense,
but the question is, was that deal
he's asking for how much now? So 13 times 5. So what does that come out to?
No, he wants $69 million.
He wants $69 million. So for this to make sense, he has to not be able to make $30 million with his age 33 contract.
So basically, it's saying that he won't get 3 for 10 in 2 years.
That's not impossible. It's just, if that was the logic I knew the game was using, I'd be okay with it. I just don't think that it is. I
was going to say, if that's the logic you're using, you can actually make a pretty good argument.
You can, but I based on the way some of these other ones have gone, like, the Jesus Ramos opting out of 12 million or 8 million to take 12 over 2 seasons, that it's not using that logic, or at least it's not. It might be trying to, but this is a case maybe where it worked. Interestingly, he's not going to get 3 for 10 at age 33 because he's not going to get 3 for 10 now, according to some people. So,
well, no, pretty much everybody has him at 3 for 10.
Yeah, well. Right. I shouldn't say not, but that's like the best he's going to do now. The averages came in at 3.5 and 9.7 because there were a couple people that really, there's a 3.
Well, there was one. There was one.
But I'm actually, if I had a price that I want to pay Jaden Harsnett, that's the one. I have the longest deal. I have 5 for 11 on him. I would never pay him that because I don't think he's very good. The game does. The game calls him a 70, and on paper, he is good. Like but his performance is.
He was great. He was great for me for half a season.
Right, but his performance has been so just complete. Why are you not better, Jaden Harsnett?
I know, right?
Except again for that kind of that one year with you.
Not even the full year, the half year where he was absolutely incredible.
Right, and then like 36 in Vegas, he was pretty good. And last year he was okay. He just got hurt.
Which is his problem. He's constantly got the little nickel dime injuries. Nothing major, but
right.
The nickel and dimers.
I think he beats this. I think he beats that 9.7 average. Don't you?
Yeah, I think I think pretty
especially when he's asking way above that.
I think he has multiple offers in the teens.
Jorge Rodriguez should definitely fire his agent. I think that's just not. He's asking for, currently in free agency, asking for $7.9 million per year after opting out of $12 million times 2 years.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's going to get a 6-year deal, which maybe is why he opted out. But for $47 million, which is more than $24 million. And again, if that's the logic, it makes sense.
That's also not going to happen because he's 34.
No one's giving a 33-year-old dude a 6-year deal. It's just no. Interestingly, one person came in pretty high at 4 times 17.5. So they just love that bat, and there's a lot to love about Jorge Rodriguez's bat. 400 on base percentages are no joke. And,
no, they're not.
He's legitimately still a very, very good hitter. He is not.
That's all he can do, though. He's DH at this point.
He's a pretty bad outfielder, yeah. And that's too much money for an outfielder. But The averages on him were 2.3 years and 11 million, so just under what he opted out of is what people think that he will get, or just right around there.
I think he'll beat that though.
I think he might beat that total value by getting more years. I don't know that someone's going to pay him more than 11 million.
Oh, see, I think it goes the other way. I think somebody gives him like a 2 for 12.
No, you think they'll go short and bid it up? I can see that. I'm going to take the under just because his starting price is so low. But you're taking the over. Okay. 2 players left, guys, and then we're done with this boring, repeating the same thing over and over again that probably everybody decided they don't want to listen to.
One player I wouldn't touch.
Would that be
hard pass?
Carlos Camacho?
Hard pass. Because not only is he a mediocre bat, but he's a dickhead.
The question is
who's that guy that bounced around the league that was a complete jerk?
Travis Lara.
Yes, he is Travis Lara.
So averages were 3.8 years and 5.5 million.
Nope. No way does he get that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's. How did that get so high?
It wasn't me.
Did I screw up? Now I got to look at Stever's spreadsheet because Stever has him at 3 times 8 per. That can't be right. Did I enter that wrong?
Stever had him for the second half of last year, I think, didn't he?
But he wouldn't pay him that much, did he? That's what Stever wrote down. So Stever just thinks somebody will love him and give him money, or Stever is a nut job. Was he good in Huntsville?
I think he was, actually.
Oh, maybe that's what it is. So he actually stopped playing like crap.
But Huntsville's got a weird park, so...
Yeah, but it's just, the only thing weird about Huntsville is just lefties hit homers there. That's it. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, there's nothing.
That's true.
Nothing exciting about it.
But like I said, Camacho's kind of got the reputation of a jerk.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are other jerks out there, but Camacho's got the reputation as one among our GMs.
Well, that and like as a guy that you just can't expect to perform. Whether or not that's realistic or true, I don't know, but he definitely has kind of earned that.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah,
and
I think he has earned it. Carlos Camacho.
And then we got the other Carlos. I think he gets under the 5.5 comfortably.
Okay. So for Camacho, you think under 5.5? I think he could be right around there, but I also think under. Carlos Garcia.
But also, there's no way he gets near 4 years.
I think he could.
The average is 3.8 years.
I think he could get.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I guess. I don't know. I just do. Carlos Garcia. I wouldn't give it to him. I just can see it happening. Carlos Garcia, second baseman, outfielder extraordinaire, and second baseman. Not so much a great at not striking out. Not his skill set making contact. A lot of 1s and 3s on deals. So people saying 1 year on him, or people probably saying 1 year with 2 options. I'm sure what all these ideas are. And we have like anywhere from 3 million. There's a 5 million. There's an 11 million average annual value. He could be a lot of things, but his averages come out to 2.3 years and 6.47 million average annual. I don't know what to do with him.
Giving him that.
Oh,
I don't either.
He held out last year. That was the problem. Is there were people that were interested, and he just refused to take a price cut. He's asking for 10 million again. He might just.
He's a guy that I could see. Remember when I was talking about my Salazar thing, where you'd sign him for 1 year and hope he does well enough to get a comp of some kind.
Yeah, I could see that too. I just don't know with him. Like he's asking for 10 million a year, which no one's going to give him.
No. Well, somebody will.
Well, yeah, or they thought someone else will. I'm taking the under on this too.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so that's everybody. I'll have this list up with what the averages came out to and what Randy and I thought, so you can make fun of us later. I think this was fun. It's a little dry. It's a lot of numbers and going back and forth, but I think it's kind of fun to see not a lot of insights in here, really just a lot of talking about what happened. So if this was boring.
This is true. And by the time this comes out, the first free agent will probably be done. So
I'm doing this afternoon. I am going to stop recording and immediately start editing, and I will try to get this up in a couple hours.
All right.
So I wanted to not be a jerk this time and have it be applicable. So that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. I think it would have been better if we'd had Steven, because you and I just think along the same lines with contracts too much. It would have been nice to have like a different voice, but
although we had some disagreements this time.
We do, but we're both we're both miserly curmudgeons when it comes to spending for stuff. So it'd be nice to have somebody in here who's. I was surprised how low these estimates were. Not that I think they are low. I just thought we would get more. I just thought people would have think that others would spend more money. So I was surprised across the board how reasonable people's contract estimates were. And then kind of my takeaway from that is what we already knew, is that we all like discipline. We have ideas of what we think people's are worth, and then we decide we need that player from free agency and blow our initial estimates right out of the water. So,
yep.
Who knew? Any final thoughts?
It'll be an interesting free agent class. There's some really big names, and then not so many like tier B guys.
No.
There's a couple of tier A, and then they go pretty much to tier C.
I thought this was a good class, though, right? Like, comparatively. Like, last year wasn't bad either, but there have been some really bad ones, so it's nice to see.
I agree. There's some Flores and Martinez help.
Yeah, and there's there's a lot of tier C
players. You got
players.
some star power.
I mean, that's the point, right?
Oh, no, I agree. But, like, your tier B guys are, like, guys like Greenwood, and, like, there's not in that group.
No, there's kind of a straight to either that or like old crusty oldies that you can maybe get 1 year out of that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about the young guys. Well, thanks everybody, and thanks Randy, and until next time.
Enjoy.